know. Yeah, just so my okay. My back TV's not on, but I don't think I need it. Okay. All right, cool. He said he's on. Okay. Just bring him on to start. Just make it easy. I'm ready. All right, I'm ready. As long as I can hear Ev, I'll be able to hear Ev. All right, Ev, you there?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I can hear him. Okay, perfect. We're about to start. And I texted you the Twitter link. Ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, it's time for Wake Up Mintzy, presented by the fine folks at Dude Wipes. And we've got a packed show for you today because we're coming off week 1 of college football. There's a whole ton of stuff to get into. We've got NFL starting Thursday night, the Ravens and Chiefs. DraftKings is popping with all kinds of offers. I crushed the books this weekend. I had a huge, or DraftKings actually, and I had a huge weekend. I'm fired up, and we're joined today by a man that knows how to talk some ball as well, and we're thrilled to have him. Big Ev joins us on Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Dude Wipes. Big Ev, how are you this morning?
Mintzy, you just got me fired up. I'm feeling fantastic. I didn't do quite as good as you on the DraftKings Sportsbook this week, but we got NFL this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of football. We're going to get it back.
Hell yeah, we are. And as always, Wake Up Mintzy, presented by the fine folks of Dude Wipes. Check out their pumpkin spice flavor that just debuted September 1st. Let it rip with Dude Wipes. Walmart, Amazon, Target, all over the World Wide Webs. Dude Wipes is taking over the toilet paper world. One use of Dude Wipes will change your life. I'm bombing some Stella Blue coffee as always. Shout out Big Cat. Reminder, Stella Blue sponsoring the Paws 5K on Saturday morning in Chicago at Montrose Harbor. I'm going to make an appearance. I'm going to run it. I'm excited about it, so looking forward to getting out there. And if you want to join me, check it out. It's for a great cause on Saturday morning, and going to get out there and run it. All right, Ev, whole bunch of stuff to get into from week 1 of college football. As I mentioned, we've got NFL starting on Tuesday, but let's get into some stuff from week 1 of college football. I feel like we have a new segment, the Dude Wipes Mess of the Week. It's the LSU Tigers. 5th loss in week 1 in 5 years. When are they going to stop scheduling these huge week 1 games? USC beats them 27-20. A game many people, including myself, thought would be a little higher scoring. Both teams have new defensive coordinators. They showed it. Were you surprised by that outcome?
I was definitely surprised by the lower total for sure. To be honest, my takeaway from the game was I don't think Lincoln Riley or Brian Kelly really coached a great game. I mean, the end of half debacle by USC was truly mind-boggling to me. Lincoln Riley not calling the initial timeout when LSU would kick the field goal, letting 40 seconds run off. Then they're not calling timeouts during the drive. I thought they got what they deserved, missing that chip shot. And then obviously the big story is Brian Kelly, his post press conference rant, slamming the table, all fired up. And really him just the way he called out his players. I mean, the way he called out Nussmeier, which I thought was a big ricochet because I really don't think Nussmeier played bad at all. I actually think he's a damn good quarterback. I was pretty surprised by the way he came at him, said basically their guy outplayed our guy. I was like, I mean, Miller Moss played a great game. Nothing against Miller Moss, but I think they're both very good quarterbacks. I was definitely surprised by the way he handled it after. You can just feel the frustration and maybe even the lack of urgency, I'll say, from his team down the stretch and just being very content, being complacent with the lead late in the game. But I give a lot of credit to USC. USC, that's a huge win for them if they want to make a playoff this year. That's a massive, massive win to put on the resume this early in the season.
I thought the story, look, I don't think Nussmeier played that bad of a game. The story of the game for LSU was their offensive line was hyped as the best easily in the country, and USC's defensive line, which, they added all that muscle, brought over Lynn from UCLA. Man, it was on display. They were able to stop their running game, and to me, that was the most surprising thing of the game, but huge win for USC in Vegas. LSU's got at Clemson next year, week 1. I mean, it's to a point. I mean, 5 years in a row, week 1 losses. A lot of frustration out of that fan base this week. But, it's crazy what a loss in that first loss in college football does to momentum. All right, we'll jump into last night. Bunch of stuff to get into around the country. How bad is Florida State? I would say DJ Uyunglele. Everybody calls him DJU. Ev, the U stands for under quarterback. DJ.
Oh man, I mean, and Mintzy, I've shot myself in the foot with this team twice now. Where the leading up to the season, I was on record. I did not think this Florida State team would be very good. I had them missing the playoff. Actually, was on record having them outside the top 3 even of the ACC. For some reason, I bet on them both weeks. I thought there were 2 teams that they could out physical. I thought this was a get right spot for them. Coming back home, they were in Dublin last game, obviously. Maybe a little wake up call, but this team just flat out just is not very good. I mean, this team truly is they're on missing a bowl game watch. I mean, these are 2 games that 2 double-digit favorites that you go out there and get out physical. I mean, the way both these games that Georgia Tech and Boston College were able to sustain drives and just bleed this team, just bludgeon them, just 4 yards a clip, and just pound the rock on them, control the clock. And I mean, when they're going 3 and out, and then DJ, like you said, listen, he's gotten a lot of shit, and in the past, I think some of it's been warranted, some hasn't. Last night, he just is so horrifically inaccurate. I mean, some of the wide open throws that he's missing, these 5-yard out routes, the one at the end of the half where the guy, he's wide open running to the back corner of the end zone. I mean, these are just inexcusable misses. I don't know where they go from here. After he throws that pick to start the second half, the fact that they didn't pull him out tells me that they have zero confidence in the quarterbacks that are behind him. Absolutely zero. Because after that pick, I mean, you have a half like he did, and you throw a pick to start the half in a game that you still could have came back and won. To not pull him for somebody else, they have no faith in whoever's behind them. Just awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I'm not surprised. Look, I didn't know they'd be 0-2, but going into the year when I saw they were going with DJ, and you look at all the stuff they lost, they had 2 stud defensive linemen on the Rams and the 2 stud receivers. I don't know. It felt, and Trey Benson being gone, I thought it might be a little bit of a struggle for him. I did not realize they'd be 0-2 to start the year. But I'll tell you this, shout out to our partners at DraftKings. Man, every week, all kinds of boosts and bets you can do. What I've been doing is on these boosts, I texted you about this last night. When you get these boosts on DraftKings, it's better to take like long shot parlays and underdogs, because if you get a 50% boost, if it's like a plus 110 bet, you can only get it to like 120. But if it's like 6 or 7 to 1, you get it to 9 or 10 to 1. And I boosted Boston College to plus 863 money line on it last night and hit that. And I just feel like it's awesome. Just all the offers DraftKings has. We're proud DK partners. I know Ev has a sign-up code as well as I do. If you deposit $5, you'll get $200 in bonus with code EV or code Mintzy. So shout out DraftKings for that. All right, some other stuff to get into week 1 before we look ahead. The Notre Dame Texas A&M game. Look, I thought Connor Wegman played a very poor game. Notre Dame's defensive line played well, but that's a huge win for Notre Dame. Going into Kyle Field, they were a 3-point underdog. You got to give them a lot of credit. They had a young offensive line. Riley Leonard transferred, but I thought the running game with Jeremiah Ford really got going. And A&M's offense stuck in mud. But, I mean, that's a defining win for Notre Dame going in there in game 1 at A&M. Whether A&M ends up good or not, you got to give the Irish some credit.
No, and they were a team that I was down on, but I thought they'd make the playoff just due to their not having a tough schedule. I picked against them. I thought A&M would win the game. But I will give them credit. I've been hard on Notre Dame, on their fans, but they're definitely much better than I thought. That was a statement win. Go out there against a physical team. A&M, where a lot of big narrative from it was that Elko, he knows Riley Leonard well. He's a defensive-minded guy, knows his strength, knows his weaknesses. Leonard played a very clean game, played a good game. I give Notre Dame a ton of credit. Their defense is for real. That was obviously talked about a lot in the offseason, how their defense would be, that would be strength of the team. It definitely is. Their secondary is, they just smush you. So I give them Notre Dame a ton of credit. They're definitely much better than I thought they would be. They're a legit playoff team.
All right, a couple other week 1 takeaways. The U, everybody always says the U is back. I always say I have to see it to believe it. Well, seeing Cam Ward slinging around the swamp at 385 and 3 TDs, I'm believing it. Boy, Billy Napier, I mean, he came in on the hot seat, did not do anything. Because it's one thing to lose at home, but to get embarrassed like that by Miami, was that more of a statement to you the U is back, or is Florida just done?
I think it was both. I mean, I was high in Miami. I picked Miami before the season to win the ACC. I'm feeling good about that through week 1. But no, I think it was a little of both. We kind of argued about it a little bit on Stay Roughness on Saturday night, whether Miami's just that bad or Miami's that good. They were more on the end that they agreed that Miami's that good, but they thought more, Casey and Brandon thought more that Miami's just truly dreadful. I don't know how dreadful they are. To me, to come in, to have an offseason where Miami is all this hype. Florida, the talk of the season is that they have this brutal schedule. Napier's as good as gone already. Their win total is, 5.5, went down to 4.5 even. To not be motivated in this spot, to not be able to get your team fired up with all the Baltimore material that had been out all off season, at home, week 1, to come out there and just get absolutely boat raced like that. I mean, Napier's. I don't know if he makes it through the season. I mean, if A&M comes in and whoops them next week, I mean, he might. I don't know what they're gonna do. He's gone. But Miami. But to go more positive, I think Miami is legit. I stand by. I think they're gonna win the ACC. I think they're the best team in the ACC. I think they're a playoff team, and I think they're a real contender. Now I want to see the consistency, because we've seen Cam Ward in the past have some great games, then have some moments. He had the one bad throw in the game, but overall, I mean, other than that throw, he's pretty flawless. He looked unbelievable. The defense looked really good. The offensive line was just bullying them up front. They got a multitude of running backs, multitude of receivers. All 3 levels of defense are strong. This Miami team, I think, is for real.
I think so too. Is Cam Ward a Heisman candidate, you think?
I think through week 1, I said it. I think he had the best Heisman moment in week 1. Obviously, long season, long way to go. Many more opportunities for many other players, but in terms of week 1, I think he had the most Heisman moment.
I think that's fair. Georgia smashed Clemson. There honestly isn't even a lot to say in that. Clemson, I don't know. They're Klubnik just not very good. Georgia just looked bigger, stronger, and faster, and just straight bullied them. 34-3 final. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Georgia obviously great every year. No surprise there. A lot of people thought Clemson might be a little improved. I didn't really see it.
This is going to come off as disrespectful to Wisconsin, but I think Clemson has become like a good Wisconsin team where they have a really good defense. I still think they have a good defense.
I do too. I do too. I mean, they were on the field the whole game.
The quarterback is average at best. They have no explosive receivers. They don't have a player to me. They don't have a player on the offense that the defensive coordinator of the opposing team is fearful, being like, "Oh, we gotta check this guy. We gotta make sure we get help with this guy over top. These guys are burner." They have no explosive weapons on offense. They don't. They have none that you fear. They haven't had a good receiver. It's crazy to think that they had came for the days of having DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, Martavis Bryant, all these guys, Mike Williams. I mean, all these great receivers.
T. Higgins,
for a little bit there. T. Higgins, of course. I mean, and just having even going back, even Amari Rodgers, who I'm going low down the totem pole, but a guy that was a productive player, NFL draft pick. Just they have nobody anymore. They have no explosive weapons on offense, and when you have a quarterback that's average, I mean, you combine those two things. I mean, you're not getting much out of your offense. Your defense has to play flawless. And you see that once it gets into the second half, when the defense plays a hell of a first half, holds Georgia to 6 points. And the second half, I mean, you can only do that for so long. And to go positive again on the other side, Georgia is who we thought they were. They're one of, if not the best team in the country. They're special. Yeah, and I mean, I think even on that game, I think it was some both. I think Clemson is not great, but I think Georgia is just elite.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Miami, the biggest winner of the weekend. When you look around the rest of the ACC with Florida State, Clemson, and then how about the Vanderbilt Commodores? What a win in Nashville in front of a sold-out crowd. They're turning away students at a Vandy game. Man, how about Diego? I guess how you say it, Pavia. Man,
Pavia,
what a game! Pavia, what a game he played. I just thought, happy for Vandy, man. I always am happy when like a beat down fan base gets a big win, and I thought that might have been the biggest upset of the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big Diego Pavia guy. He was great for New Mexico State last year. Mintzy knows I love those midweek games, the day games. The Conference USA. They played a ton on Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights. Super electric, fun offense to watch. He's a fun player to watch. Dual threat. They brought over him, this tight end, I believe Stowers, I believe his name is. Had a real big game. Their offensive coordinator, I thought he called a great game on offense, calling plays. That's a huge win, especially for them, where Virginia Tech's coming in the season with a ton of hype. They bring back like 18, 19 starters. Kyron Drones is an exceptional dude threat quarterback. A lot of people are thinking that Virginia Tech's a threat to win the ACC coming into this game, and they go and just lay an egg to Vanderbilt, lose. But I'm a huge Diego Pavia guy. I was on the Commodores, thank God. But yeah, no, that was a massive, massive win. Definitely biggest upset by far. And wonder where Vanderbilt can go with this. Listen, long season, we'll see, but wonder if they can start to climb themselves out of the basement of the SEC.
No, I think it's very, very possible. I think they got the right quarterback. They brought Jerry Kill over on their staff from New Mexico State. My one criticism would be I feel like Diego's going to have trouble staying healthy if they run him as much as they're running him in that game through the SEC. But I get it. Week one, you got a big program-building win for Vandy. Shout out. I've got a rant I've got to go on about a game because I'm real big into and I know you, Ev, I love talking gambling and football with you because you go deep. I mean, you go hard at the G5. You go to everything. So my favorite thing in college football is always to do the kind of longer shot money lines because you'll see double-digit underdogs like Vandy will win sometimes. Ev, I had Old Dominion. They were plus 20.5 at South Carolina. Before that game, I was like, South Carolina could screw this up. They've got a redshirt freshman quarterback. They're known for playing down to the G5. I was like, it's possible they could blow this. On DraftKings, we had three $50 boosts you could use on Saturday. I boosted Old Dominion from 12-1 to 18-1 money line in that game. It was 50 to win 900. And Old Dominion's up 19-16 with 5 minutes left, and their quarterback, who I want to strangle right now, fumbles at their own 5-yard line, and South Carolina runs it in and wins 23-19. Try not to think about what might have been. But, man, not happy with him. He's not getting a Christmas card for me, to say the least.
You're seeing the board right though, Mintzy. That's a positive. You're seeing the board clear. You got to keep going with those thoughts. Those are good thoughts. That's a good sharp thought.
Well, I did 3 of them on the 350 boost. I had Georgia Southern, who was winning 37-36 early fourth against Boise, and I had Hawaii against UCLA, and freaking Hawaii was up the entire game, and UCLA kicked the field goal to beat them late. So I know I'm just complaining, and nobody likes that. But, I mean, I felt like all 3 were very live and, solid picks. And, I mean, I'm posting all my picks on Twitter. I'm going more selective this year. I know, Ev, you're a volume guy, and I always respect you. I know I'm pumping your tires here. But to play as much volume as you do and be a consistent winner, to me, is the hardest thing in gambling because the volume just eats you up. And that's what's gotten me in the past. This year, I'm going more selective aggressive. I'm 10-4 and plus 6.6 units to start so far this year. And I'm going to keep that rolling moving forward.
Yeah, we're going to see this week maybe be slightly more selective. Hawaii was my favorite play of the week, so I was feeling that one as well. I think I had him like plus 475 money line, so would have loved to get that home, but able to at least hit the big spread bet at least. But that one I was kicking myself as well watching that game because they had every opportunity to win that game. Definitely should have, in my opinion. They definitely left some points off the board.
Well, El,
yeah,
this week,
definitely excited week 2.
Well, a lot of stuff going on with you. College football show, Ann Arbor, Michigan on Saturday. You're going to your favorite college town in America, I'm sure. Michigan opened, they won 30-10, so maybe the score doesn't tell the story. Only 90 yards of total offense in the first half. I have a lot of questions about them this year. Harbaugh felt like he got out with the NCAA being on them. They lost most of their, stud defensive coordinator, J.J. McCarthy. Lost a ton off that team. Look, the defense is still really good. There's no doubt about it. But I think the offense is pretty shaky. What do you think about this Texas-Michigan game this week?
Yeah, listen, I'll take my Ohio State hat. I'll take it. I'll take it fully off. I'll switch hats. I don't know high noon hat. So I'm taking the Ohio State hat off. Listen, they look bad. They looked really offense looked terrible, like you said. I almost feel like they're in the classic spot where they had the big quarterback battle. They kept it close to the vest until the game. Everyone thought Ochi was going to be the guy. They went with Warren. He looked not very good, in my opinion, at all. And like you said, this was a 16-10 game in the fourth quarter. They were in a legitimate dogfight with Fresno late into this game. They get the pick six late that makes it look a little wider than it was. Um, but they gotta have concerns because even Texas goes in or excuse me at home plays Colorado State, wins 52-0. And listen, there was some obviously it's week one. You get some of these big spreads, big teams playing small teams, win by big margins. Colorado State is not one of the listen. They're the Mountain West team. They're obviously listen. They're not Tennessee or nothing. But this is a legitimately like a solid Mountain West like G5 team that they blew the doors off. They're like I mean they got some guys on the Colorado State team that will be draft picks. I mean, they're not like a total slouch. To go and just beat the shit out of them the way they did, Texas looked very impressive. I mean that line went from 3.5 to 7.5 after seeing the two of them week one. So I mean, I'm definitely excited to see how that game plays out. I mean, Texas is obviously much bigger favorite now, and probably rightfully so.
Yeah, Texas laying 7.5 at Michigan. That's the first college football show. I know you're ready to get this thing on the road. Also loving Unnecessary Roughness. How's that going for you so far? Loving you and Blutman being on there.
It's been a blast. Been a blast. Yeah, check it out on YouTube, Rumble, everything. It's podcast. It's been going very well so far. Great first recap. Doing the recap Saturday night is a lot of fun. Just being able to just get your thoughts and emotions and feelings out there. Everything you saw from the day right after, right up for everyone to watch. So appreciate everyone watching. We'll be dropping another episode tonight. Kind of looking ahead at the week games this week.
All right, a couple other things before I let you get out of here. On the Ohio State front, I know they had a slower start, but I still don't read too much into it. I know they had a slower first quarter. They ended up blowing them out late. I still feel really, really good about everything about that football team. What did you think about that performance against Akron?
Yeah, obviously they started slow, but I'm not worried about it for a few reasons. I think this early in the season, especially I don't know if you've looked at Ohio State's early schedule. It is just a cakewalk the first month of the season or so. It's pretty much what Michigan's was last year, where we got Western Michigan. We're playing 3-4 G5s in a row to start the season, or excuse me, yeah, 3-4 G5s to start the season. So I'm not worried about it. They're just letting their feet get under them. Let Will Howard kind of get infused in the offense. I actually thought he looked really good. There were some drops that his numbers could have looked a lot better. I actually thought he was very accurate overall. Really liked what I saw from Will Howard. So that was and listen, the defense, I knew they let up a couple first downs early. They let up nothing after that. This defense is going to be absolutely tenacious. The defense is what I'm most excited for sure.
Yeah, it looks loaded. Penn State crushed West Virginia. I thought that was a big statement by Penn State going into Morgantown. It was weird. That weather was wild. But, I mean, Morgantown was so hyped up on Friday. And I thought that was a statement win by Penn State. They hired the Kansas offensive coordinator. Maybe they found something there. Defensive front was dominant. I mean, look, I know everybody bags on James Franklin because he never wins a big game. But going on the road to Morgantown, hostile environment week one, beating their ass like that, I got to give them a little credit.
Yeah, and I will say this because I was someone who was critical of Drew Aller last year. I don't know if he keep the consistency. That's yet to be seen. But, I mean, Drew Aller made a couple throws in that first half that I was like, this guy's a first-round draft pick. When he's on, I mean, he really is. He really does have an elite arm talent. I mean, there were some throws that he just put on a string, man. So Drew Aller, I mean, listen, if that defense is as good as they looked, and Drew Aller can make some throws like that, I mean, they're a national title contender, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I was very impressed by them. Turning our attention, I mean, there are obviously other college football. Obviously Ole Miss looked awesome, but they played Furman. I'm not going to get in. I mean, Jackson Dart had like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in the first half. But I want to go ahead and look ahead. This week, we talked about college football week 2. NFL week 1, Ev. Ravens and Chiefs Thursday night. I know your Giants, the Malik Neighbors era starting. Can't wait to see what he looks like on Sunday. I know we'll see how Daniel Jones does this year. But what are you most excited about for week 1 NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see how the Ravens kind of respond to just blowing what I thought was their best opportunity to date to win a Super Bowl with this regime, with Lamar. And listen, it's early, so I won't lock myself into this yet. Nothing locked in on the DraftKings Sportsbook, but I'll probably be taking a shot at the Ravens +3. I know historically these teams that won the Super Bowl, big fade spot coming off Super Bowl, actually just playing in it or being in it. But yeah, honestly, that Thursday and also the Brazil game. I mean, the Eagles.
Eagles, Packers Friday night.
This Eagles team, this Eagles team feels very like, boom or bust in terms of they invested so much monetarily into this team. The way they ended last season, Sirianni's in a very weird spot where he was in the Super Bowl the year before. Now it feels like he's on the hot seat so fast. They obviously invested in Saquon. They have Hurts. They have these incredible receivers, Brown and Smith, tight ends. I mean, Jason Kelsey leaves. The defense, they invested a lot of draft picks in there, obviously, with Mitchell, the white corner that is,
The Iowa
Cooper
kid.
DeJean. Cooper DeJean slipped my mind for a second. But they invested a lot in positions where they struggled. So I think they're the team I'm probably most fascinated to see how they play out this season, because I think the sky's the limit for them. But if things just fell off a cliff, it wouldn't totally shock me either.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's their volatility, just the way they crashed at the end of the year. I mean, last year, I think after they won that Monday night game against KC, they were 8-1, and they literally just cratered down the stretch. They got two new coordinators, and Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Like you said, I mean, I could see anything with Philly. I could see them being 13-4, and I could see them being 7-10, and none of it would necessarily surprise me. Also in their division, Dallas at Cleveland. CeeDee Lamb got the bag. That's a fascinating week one game to me, too. I feel like Deshaun Watson's getting written off in NFL circles. Is he capable of having a healthy bounce back year, or is he just, this is what he is?
So when he was healthy, he had some good games, and he actually had a very good rapport with Amari Cooper. So I'm high on the Browns this year. I think the biggest problem for them is I think the division's brutal, and I'm a huge Joe Burrow guy. I think the way people are not writing off Joe Burrow, but I feel like now there's on Pick Central we've talked about, and I think just in general there's this group of people who think about it like this, Mitzi. Think about 2 years ago, that big playoff game in Buffalo where it's snowing. Bills lay a dud. Bengals go and bury them. It has become unanimous after that game. It's Mahomes and it's Burrow too, no doubt about it. Now he gets hurt. You look basically a year later, and people are like, "Oh, is Burrow even top 5? Is you got Allen's better, Lamar's better, all these guys are better." I think this is the Burrow comeback season, like comeback tour. I really, really do. I think the Bengals are going to have a huge year. So for the Browns, I'm high on the Browns, but the division's just so tough.
Dude, the division is crazy.
These games.
All 4 teams are winning records last year.
But the Browns are one of my favorite offensive picks. I think they're like plus, I don't know what they still are. We talked about maybe a month ago or so. They were plus 150 to make the playoffs. That defense is still going to be elite. Really good offensive line. They're going to be able to run the ball. If Watson doesn't need to be Houston Texans Watson. He just needs to be like decent Watson. This team is a serious contender. They're a playoff team. So, I'm pretty high on the Browns. But to me, the Cowboys, they are what they are. Like, they're regular season warriors. They're a team that they can do anything in the regular season, and it just doesn't matter to me. I need to see it in the playoffs, because every time this team goes to the playoffs, they just crap down their leg. And with that, and also it's funny as a Giants fan, I'm watching the Dak situation closely, because this could be a guy the Giants throw the bag at next year. Like, we never see a quarterback of Dak's caliber be a lame duck free agent. It just never happens, ever. The only time it ever happens is with guys with injuries like a Kirk Cousins this year, or Peyton Manning that after he hurt his neck and they were getting Andrew Luck. Drew Brees when he had his injury. You just never see a healthy, and we'll see what happens with Dak this year. Not wishing an injury on him, but we just never see a quarterback of this stature, of this level, be a lame duck and become a free agent. So I'm just very curious to see how that all plays out as well. With a bunch of teams like the Giants, I'm sure maybe the Raiders, however this season goes, a ton of teams like that are going to be throwing big money at him in the offseason.
No, I agree. Looking around, some other quick NFL questions. AFC East, who you got coming out of this division? It's kind of the Bills feel like they're regressing a little bit. Miami, can they stay healthy? Obviously, they've got a couple edge rushers out or banged up. Obviously the injuries to Chubb and Phillips into last year. The Jets, what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers this year? Who do you like in this division?
So I'm very, very low on the Dolphins. I'm just not a Dolphins believer at all. I'm higher on the Bills than most people are, because I think on paper they lose Diggs, they lose Gabe Davis, and I think people get too attached to like the sexy big names And I think we've seen over and over where, like, listen, I mean, the Chiefs have showed it these past couple, and I think over time you've really seen it in just NFL. Having high paid receivers isn't like this formula to win Super Bowls. It's just kind of not. And I think them losing these big receivers, this offense is not going to regress the way people think it is. I think Keon Coleman, I think Dalton Kincaid, I think Curtis Samuel, I think Shakur. Like, I think they have a ton of guys that are going to have big seasons, and the offense is not going to skip a beat. Josh Allen's incredible. And I think the defense getting more healthy is going to improve. So I think the Bills are going to be really good. But I'm also high on the Jets. I think it's going to be a dogfight between the two of them. I'll say the Bills edge it out, but I think both are serious contenders. And I think the Jets, I mean, if Rodgers is the guy he was, the ceiling is through the roof. I mean, how good that defense is. I mean, if they just had average quarterback play last year, they're a playoff team. If they can have strong quarterback play, they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Who other than the Chiefs, who's the best in the AFC West out of the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos? Do you think any of those teams can be decent?
I think it's the Raiders. I think it's the Raiders. I can understand the love for the Chargers. Like, as much as me and Harbaugh I've talked my shit. He's obviously a damn good coach, and I think he knows how to build a foundation. And I think he will do that early with he'll run the ball. But yeah, I think the Raiders defense is going to be serious. I think Minshew is at least an improvement from what they've had at quarterback, whether it's him or O'Connell. Like, who's going to – I know they say he's going to start now. We'll see what happens if they end up platooning kind of thing, or who plays better if they make a switch down the road. But I think it's the Raiders.
Look, I can see it too. They play hard for Antonio Pierce. Underrated signing Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins, beast defensive lineman. So they got him and Crosby up front. I think Minshew's kind of frisky, not that bad. Brock Bowers, Adams, Zamir White. I kind of am inclined to agree with you on that. AFC South, do you think Houston, like when you look at the year, Houston was a surprise last year, but man, they've got a foundation built. If you like on paper were like, hey, we're going to put together an NFL team with elite guys at the premier positions. C.J. Stroud quarterback, Laramie Tunzel left tackle, 3 stud receivers, Derek Stingley as a shutdown corner, Will Anderson rushing the passer. I mean, they kind of check the boxes when you look at like the way the team's made up.
They're going to be phenomenal. Obviously, I'm a huge C.J. Stroud guy, but I mean, no, you said it. I mean, they're just phenomenal, and I think for them, I think they're the clear favorites, and they should be. And I think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't see C.J. Stroud having a sophomore slump. I think if anything, he ascends, and just kind of cements himself as a true top 5 quarterback in the league after this season. But to me, I think the team to watch in that division is the Jaguars, just because I think this is such a make or break year for them. Like Trevor Lawrence is obviously one of those guys where he was this can't miss, no brainer selection. He was the Andrew Luck. He was the Peyton Manning. He was the John Elway. He was that guy. And he hasn't been that guy yet. And we're getting it now. What is it, year 5? Year 4, year 5 of him in the league? So, I mean, it's about that time where it's – you listen, you write off the first year with Urban Meyer. I get that. It's fine. He has a good season, bad season. Now it's kind of – or ant season, he gets hurt for a little bit. Now he's playing hurt. Now this season is huge for them. You lose Ridley, but you still have Kirk. You have Evan Ingram. You still have some targets. I'm very high on ETN. I think he's a damn good running back. But this is a massive, massive year for them to kind of like show through. And if they're not a playoff team this year, Doug Peterson might be in trouble. People are going to start really being like, what's up with Trevor Lawrence? Maybe he's just not the guy we thought he was. Because I think this is the last year people are going to give him that benefit of the doubt of the hype. And we'll be buying low on him kind of thing. And if he doesn't do it this year, when?
Yeah, what's interesting about them, they won that playoff game against the Chargers, that crazy comeback 2 years ago. Last year, they had one of the best records in football, and then they just cratered late. Lawrence was playing with like 3 or 4 injuries. You know, you're right. Just a lot of pressure on him going into this year. NFC North, do you like the Lions, Packers, or Bears the most?
That one's really tough for me because I think to win the division, the Lions would be my pick. I think I just trust them the most. Just their roster, just top to bottom, is just really, really strong. Their offensive line is phenomenal, and I think that's a huge, huge thing for them. And I think Jared Goff is just such a good. I think Jared Goff might be the most underrated quarterback in the league. I know it's because he doesn't blow you away with his arm talent. He doesn't blow you away with this and that, but the guy's just a good quarterback. He's accurate. He's smart. He makes the right decisions constantly. And I really do love Dan Campbell. I know people gave him a ton of shit last year after going for it all the fourth downs. I'm a true believer in you live and die by the sword. That's the way you play. You play aggressive. Even the ones they didn't get, two of them, the plays were there to be made. The execution just dropped balls. They called the right plays, just didn't get it done. They could have easily been in the Super Bowl last year, so it's the Lions. But I will say this: I am a Jordan Love guy, so I don't want to make this sound like I'm anti-Packers. I think all three are going to be playoff teams. I think the Bears are legit. I'm in on the Bears. I won't even want to sprinkle a future on them. Maybe even be a Super Bowl team, win a Super Bowl. I know it's crazy talk with rookie quarterback, but just everything they have around him, from the good defense to the offensive line, I think is improved. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, the biggest X factor to the offensive line. But I do think they're improved. I mean, the wide receivers everywhere, and I'm in on Caleb Williams. I think he's the real deal. I know, even talking to some guys in Chicago last week that know Cole Kmet well, and some of those guys, they say that they have nothing but great things to say about Caleb Williams as a person. I know that's been talked about a lot in the media and stuff like that, fingernails, blah, blah, blah. They say he's an awesome guy, great guy in the locker room, great guy to be around, the kind of guy you want to play for. And he's obviously just incredible talent. And I think even just seeing the little doses in preseason, I think he looks NFL ready. I think the Bears are legit. I think all three are playoff teams.
Yeah, I would disagree. The thing with Green Bay, obviously, so much momentum. They won the road playoff game at Dallas. Youngest team since like 1970 to win a playoff game. Tons of momentum going in. The one thing about Green Bay year after year, they tend to be like a slower starter and pick it up late. I feel like that's a trend with them, and I mean, it makes sense because like their home field advantage is so good at Lambeau late in the year. But I'm curious to see, does Jordan Love just come out real hot off the big contract off the end of last year? But they've certainly got a lot of talent, and we'll see if Christian Watson can stay healthy. NFC South, a lot of hype on Atlanta. Are you buying it?
Yeah, I am because I just think the last couple of years, but even last year specifically, their quarterback play has just been so dreadful. Desmond Ritter has been like Zach Wilson bad, like truly, truly awful. And I think if Kirk Cousins can even be like 80% of the guy that he was, they're so much improved in a division that I don't think is very good. I think it might be a little bit better last year because I think the Panthers won't be as god awful as they were last year. I think they'll be a little better. But the Bucks, I think the Bucks overachieved last year. They probably about maxed out their ceiling. So I am buying on the Falcons side. But I think the Falcons win the division. I think they're legit.
Yeah, my one NFC South thought, and obviously I'm a Saints fan, and I follow the Saints really close. Week 1, over-unders 41.5 in Panthers Saints. Every one of these games in this series is 16-13 or 13-10. It's literally the crappiest series in football. I mean, it's like last year I think the Saints won 17-3 and like 16-13. I'm not buying the Bryce Young turnaround. The Saints' offensive line's a mess. I would argue this over-under should be like 35. So all I'm saying is hint on what's coming there for me. If that's a shootout in New Orleans, those two teams, they're gonna be getting some of my money on DraftKings. We'll just put it that way. I
like that look, Mintzy. I definitely do.
I mean, it's just like how NFL series are. You see trends when teams play each other in the division games, and that's a big one there. And then the NFC West, do you think anybody can challenge the Niners? I thought that was big. Look, I think Brandon Ayuk's an elite receiver. I didn't realize he'd be getting $30 million a year. I mean, I know we saw CeeDee Lamb and Jefferson and Chase and all them getting all this. Well, Chase hadn't gotten it yet, but all these guys getting this big money. I was shocked. I thought Ayuk was like $20 million a year. Were you surprised when he got 4 and 120?
No, I wasn't, because I mean, this is not a knock. Amon-Ra St. Brown got, I don't know what the guarantees were, but he got 4/120. And Ayuk, I think, is somebody who, I mean, it's crazy that there's some of these from good sources that, I mean, the Patriots offered him 32. The Browns apparently offered him more. So teams were willing to offer him even more than that. But he clearly valued staying in San Fran, or I think he would have been gone. But I guess, no, I wasn't that surprised, because I do think he's in an offense where there's so many mouths to feed that he's still getting his in an offense with Debo, with McCaffrey, with Kittle. If he's on a team by himself, and in terms of like he's the standalone number one option on the offense, I think he's putting up big numbers. So I didn't think it was that crazy. I think it was fair for both sides. And it's scary that they got that done. They got the Trent Williams thing done this morning. But no, I guess to long-winded answer your question, no, I don't think anyone's going to compete with them in the NFC West. I think they're probably even the only playoff team comes out of that division.
Yeah, Jets and Niners Monday night. I believe Niners are 5.5 at home. Aaron Rodgers going back to San Fran, where he's from that area. That'll be fascinating. The Sunday night, Rams and Lions rematch that playoff game. Man, I just love it because I know you're the same, Ev. We're similar. You just wait so long on football, and then you get through that first week of college football, and now NFL's starting college, and dude, I just love it. And we just got it all the way till February. We got the longest college football season ever. I mean, it's just every week now, and it's glorious. It's freaking great. It's the best.
2 days, Mintzy. We got to get through today, tomorrow, and then just nonstop football. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, just football forever. It's the best.
Well, Ev, I just want to say thank you for joining me this morning. I know you got a busy schedule. Check out the new Unnecessary Roughness tonight, college football show on Saturday. You'll be out in the crowd in Ann Arbor, Michigan with all, thousands of your closest friends, as always. Yeah. Love talking ball with you. Always have since I've been here at Barstool. Love, your knowledge and how much you follow it. And it's just, I'm a fan. So keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it, Mintzy. Thanks for having me on. Anytime, let me know.
All right, Big Ev, join us on Wake Up Mintzy. Some other stuff I want to mention over the weekend. I kind of had a crazy few days. Went to Pearl Jam at Wrigley Field Thursday night, thanks to the fine folks of Game Time. I ended up in the 10th row in Wrigley Field. What a show. First time I've seen Pearl Jam since I saw them headline the Jazz Fest in 2010. Man, Eddie Vedder, being a Chicago guy, you could just tell how much Wrigley Field meant to him. Covered Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down, and Neil Young, Keep on Rocking in the Free World at the end. Just spectacular night. And then shout out, I believe Moody has some videos of me. I want to thank the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. They're the high single A of the Milwaukee Brewers. They've been kind of in my DMs trying to get me to come up and be a guest of honor today. I went up there on Friday. Can't say I've ever been to Appleton, Wisconsin before, but man, first class all the way. I mean, they came and got me in Chicago, had a suite, got to throw the first pitch, had kind of a viral video of me riding go-karts around the field. I got to ride around, shooting off the Bratzuka cannon. I rode the slide. Probably ate too much food at the concession stands. But just so much fun. And just they have such a cool atmosphere and, great people in Appleton, Wisconsin. I say this all the time about Barstool, man. You never know what you're going to do. And you just get out, and you get to meet different people and go to different places. I mean, I never thought I'd go to Appleton, Wisconsin, and I had the best time on Friday night. And so I want to thank them for that. That was awesome. Fantasy Football Factory Pod presented by DraftKings is going to be coming out every Thursday morning. Check out our wide receivers and tight ends one we put out last Thursday. We'll be doing DraftKings pricing with Tyler Moody, Stephen Shea, and myself. That'll be out this Thursday morning. And I also want to mention before last story for today on the fantasy football front, I did a draft on Sunday night, and I'm not going to mention who all's in the league because it's so big, but it's a Bitcoin fantasy league, and the buy-in for the dang fantasy league was a Bitcoin. No, I don't have that much money. I got staked in it, I'll be honest. And it was a $200 auction, 1 point PPR, one quarterback. And, man, I was just like, look, this is a high-stakes league. I'm coming out blasting. I'm not going to sit around, be conservative, and be scared. I got Christian McCaffrey for $63 at the beginning, and I really like my team. I got McCaffrey, Rashad White, Patrick Mahomes, Amir White running back. I got Olave, Amari Cooper, and Evan Ingram because it's PPR, and he got 114 catches. But I'm pretty stoked, man. I'm doing my 2 leagues, but the Bitcoin league, man, that's crazy. I mean, that thing's going to, big, and by the end of the year, that could be, Bitcoin could be 80K. And the winner gets 6 Bitcoins in a fantasy league. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Super excited about that, and looking forward to that on Thursday. Moody and we're going to bring back the Guess the Lines tomorrow. It's old school Moody and I tradition from going all the way back to mixing up with Mintz and Bozier. And I know Moody's excited about the fantasy pot as well. So much stuff to be excited about. It's freaking football season. Let's go, boys. Stu Feiner will be around in the house tomorrow. Barstool Sports Advisors returns. He's getting here tonight. Can't wait to see Stu in the flesh. I've got the all-time SEC leading passer, Aaron Murray, big media guy as well from Georgia. He'll be on here Thursday. Let's have a week. It's football season. Let's freaking go. Thanks for watching Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Dude Wipes.